There is a town in the Shenandoah Valley where the median home price is $310,000. The streets are walkable, the downtown has stayed independent for decades, and nobody has called a flood emergency in living memory. Meanwhile, the median home price in Charleston just crossed $550,000. Hilton Head is sitting at $650,000, and Rehoboth Beach, a town that closes for 5 months every winter, is asking the same. That gap between what the postcard costs and what the postcard actually delivers is exactly what this video is about. Today we are covering 11 East Coast towns, 6 where the regret sets in around month 3, 5 where the postcard turned out to be completely true. The difference between those two lists is almost never the coastline. It is the infrastructure, the insurance market, and who is actually paying the town's bills. Number 11. Rehoboth Beach, Delaware. You picture a walkable boardwalk, saltwater taffy, and a beach town with no state sales tax to sweeten the deal. For a long weekend, it delivers exactly that. Try living there in February, when half the restaurants close for the season, and the town that felt alive in July goes almost silent for 5 months straight. According to Redfin, the median home price in Rehoboth Beach sits around $650,000, a number that belongs in a much bigger city, not a seasonal beach town. Because so many of these homes are second homes or short-term rentals, the year-round tax base is thin, which means the full-time residents left behind are the ones covering the gap. Homeowners insurance along this stretch of coast has also climbed sharply as insurers price in the risk of nor'easters and rising flood exposure. For retirees specifically, that insurance math hits harder on a fixed income than it looks on paper during a summer visit. You are paying resort prices for a town that only shows up for half the year, and the businesses that stay open through winter often do it at a loss just to keep their staff through to the next season. That is regret number 1. The next one trades the off-season silence for a traffic jam that never actually ends. Number 10. Virginia Beach, Virginia. The pitch is simple. 35 miles of Atlantic coastline, a military economy that never seems to slow down, and a boardwalk built for family vacations. The reality is a city that has grown faster than its roads were ever designed to handle. According to Census Bureau estimates, the metro area has added tens of thousands of residents over the last decade, and most of them are funneling through the same handful of corridors twice a day. Redfin lists the median home price at around $380,000, which sounds reasonable until you add flood insurance. This is one of the most flood-exposed metro areas on the entire Atlantic coast, and FEMA flood zone maps cover huge sections of the city, which means your mortgage payment is really 2 payments wearing a trench coat. The beach is real. So is the hour-long trip to reach a grocery store during peak tourist season, when the same roads locals use every day are shared with hundreds of thousands of vacationers. That is 2 of 6 regret towns down. Number 9 gets more expensive and somehow more congested at the same time. Number 9. Hilton Head Island, South Carolina. Golf courses, private beaches, a resort reputation that has been building since the 1960s. It is genuinely beautiful. It is also a barrier island connected to the mainland by essentially one bridge, and that bridge becomes a parking lot every summer weekend. Zillow puts the average home value on the island at roughly $650,000, and that number climbs fast once you get anywhere near the water. Property taxes and insurance stack on top of that, since this is a high-wind, high-flood coastal zone, and industry data has flagged South Carolina's coastal counties as some of the fastest-rising insurance markets in the country. The island also has almost no room left to build, which sounds like scarcity working in your favor, until you realize it means every contractor, every grocery delivery, every service call is competing for space on one road in and one road out. For retirees thinking about healthcare access, that single-road reality also means that the nearest major medical center is an hour away under normal traffic conditions, and during a named storm evacuation, it is the only way off the island for tens of thousands of people at once. You are paying resort prices to live somewhere you cannot easily leave. Number 8 is where the flooding stops being scenery and starts being personal. Number 8. Charleston, South Carolina. The historic peninsula is one of the most photographed places on the entire East Coast. Cobblestone streets, pastel houses, church steeples older than the country itself. But Charleston has a problem no amount of charm can fix. It is sinking and flooding at the same time. The city's own stormwater studies show downtown Charleston now floods on clear, sunny days during high tide, a pattern local engineers call nuisance flooding, and it has gotten measurably more frequent over the past decade. Redfin has the median home price for the metro area above $550,000, and homes inside the historic district regularly sell for double that. Layer on flood insurance premiums that have jumped by double-digit percentages in back-to-back years under FEMA's updated risk rating system, and you are looking at a monthly housing cost that would embarrass a much bigger city. Charleston is not lying to you about its beauty. It is just not volunteering the part where your basement and your budget are both underwater. Longtime residents describe watching the same intersections flood a little more each year. A slow, expensive kind of erosion that never makes it onto a postcard. And the mistake isn't always obvious in the listing price. Sometimes the cheapest town on this list turns out to be the most expensive mistake. 4 down, 2 to go. Number 7 has a crime problem hiding behind its postcard. Number 7, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina. It sells itself as the vacation everyone can afford, and on paper, the housing actually backs that up. Redfin puts the median home price at roughly $310,000, genuinely reasonable for a beach town, but the price tag is the only reasonable thing about living here year-round. FBI uniform crime reporting data has consistently placed Myrtle Beach among the higher crime rate cities in South Carolina relative to its population, driven in part by a transient tourist economy that swells the city from under 40,000 year-round residents to well over 1 million visitors a year. Highway 501, the main road in and out of town, turns into a standstill every summer weekend, and the job market outside of tourism and hospitality is thin, which makes career growth difficult if you are not retired or working remotely. The affordable price tag gets you a town built for other people's vacations, not your actual life. Number 6 is the one that broke my own rule about saving the worst for last. Number 6 is Asheville, North Carolina, the most aggressively marketed East Coast alternative that nobody has bothered to fact-check in 3 years. It is roughly 300 miles from the nearest beach, and it is on this list because it gets sold as an East Coast relocation answer more confidently than almost anywhere else. And the numbers behind that pitch deserve the same scrutiny. Asheville built its reputation as the mountain town that had it all. Craft breweries, Blue Ridge views, a walkable downtown arts scene, and for years the housing was genuinely a bargain compared to the coast. That window has closed. Redfin has the median sale price sitting around $507,000, up meaningfully from just a few years ago, in a region where economic researchers have repeatedly flagged local wages, dominated by tourism and hospitality jobs, as falling far short of what it actually costs to live there. That gap is not theoretical. It shows up as a town full of people commuting in to serve visitors they will never be able to afford to live near. Then there is the infrastructure. During a major winter storm, aging water lines failed across the city, and state environmental reports confirmed tens of thousands of residents went without reliable running water for weeks, in a city where the average home now costs $500,000. Add rising concern from local officials about unsheltered homelessness downtown, and property crime data showing rates climbing above the national average, and you get a town charging big city prices while quietly running on small-town infrastructure that is decades behind the growth. Asheville is not a bad place. It is a beautiful place that got popular faster than its pipes, its wages, and its roads could keep up. And that is exactly the trap every town on this half of the list has in common. The postcard sells you the front porch. Nobody mentions the pipes. Every town on that list got popular faster than its infrastructure, its insurance market, or its wages could keep up, and whoever bought in last paid for all of it. The next 5 towns ran the math differently. They grew at a pace their roads, their water lines, and their local economy could actually support, which is exactly why the price still makes sense today. And we are still working toward the one I mentioned at the top. The town in the valley nobody is watching. Here are the 5 towns actually worth every penny. Number 5, Portsmouth, Virginia. Right across the water from Norfolk, Portsmouth gets overlooked by nearly everyone who circles Virginia Beach on a map. And that is exactly why it works. You get a walkable historic downtown along the Elizabeth River, real shipyard and naval hospital jobs anchoring the local economy instead of tourism, and a ferry ride into Norfolk whenever you want a bigger night out without living in the middle of one. Portsmouth is not a resort town, and not every block has been renovated yet, which is exactly why the price still makes sense. You can walk to the shipyard employment office from a house that costs less than a Hilton Head condo, without the flood insurance bill, without the single bridge evacuation math, and without the sense that the city grew too fast for anyone to notice you moved in. According to Redfin, the median home price here is right around $290,000, less than half of what you would pay across the water in Virginia Beach. The ferry ride alone is worth the savings. Coming up, a South Carolina town that skipped the coast entirely and built something better. Number 4, Greenville, South Carolina. Head inland and you land in a town that has quietly become one of the best-run mid-sized cities in the South. Main Street is genuinely walkable. On a Tuesday afternoon in November, not just in July, there is a real restaurant and brewery scene, and a growing base of manufacturing and technology employers has kept the local job market diversified, instead of leaning on tourism the way every town on the regret half of this list does. Growth has pushed prices up over the last few years, and this is not the steal it was a decade ago. But according to Redfin, the median home price is still around $350,000, meaningfully below Charleston and Asheville, for a downtown that arguably beats both of them on everyday livability. Remember that Hilton Head number, $650,000, for an island you cannot easily leave during a storm. Greenville gives you the walkable downtown, the restaurant scene, and the diversified economy for roughly half that, with zero flood risk and 2 highways out of town in any direction. Greenville proves you do not need an ocean view to get a great American small city, just a downtown that was planned instead of accidentally happening to a town. Next, a North Carolina river town that never shows up on anyone's moving list, and probably should. Number 3, New Bern, North Carolina. This is the town most East Coast relocation guides skip completely, and that is the entire reason it still works. New Bern sits where the Neuse and Trent rivers meet, with a genuinely historic downtown, the birthplace of Pepsi-Cola if you want a piece of trivia, and a waterfront that would carry a Charleston price tag anywhere else on this coast. It is a smaller town, so if you need a big city job market or a busy nightlife scene, this is not it. But for retirees, remote workers, and anyone tired of paying premium prices for premium traffic, New Bern sits close enough to the coast to visit whenever you want it, without the year-round bill that comes with actually living there. Redfin has the median home price sitting around $280,000, less than half of what Hilton Head or Rehoboth Beach are charging, for a town with 2 rivers instead of 1 road in and out, a real downtown, and none of the seasonal dead zone that makes Rehoboth feel like a ghost town by February. A genuine waterfront historic district for what most coastal towns charge for a condo 2 blocks from the water. Number 2 takes that same formula and adds a working waterfront. Number 2, Beaufort, North Carolina, not to be confused with its pricier South Carolina cousin. This Beaufort sits on the down East Coast with a genuine working waterfront, wild horses on the nearby Rachel Carson Reserve, and a historic district that looks like a movie set without the movie set prices. This is a real fishing town first, and a tourist town second, which is exactly the order you want it in. It is small, and winters here are quiet in a way that will either feel peaceful or feel like too much, depending on who you are. And that is a real thing to know about yourself before you move. But according to Zillow, the average home value sits around $320,000, for waterfront charm that towns like Charleston and Hilton Head are charging triple to deliver. No single road evacuation math, no double-digit flood insurance increases, no infrastructure that stopped keeping up with the growth sometime around the last decade. This is what an authentic coastal town looks like before it gets discovered. The number 1 town on this list is the single best value on the entire East Coast, and it is not on the water. Number 1, Staunton, Virginia. Remember the town I mentioned at the top? The one in the Shenandoah Valley, $310,000. Walkable streets, no flood history, this is it. Staunton sits surrounded by mountains on both sides, with a downtown built from unbroken blocks of 19th century architecture that most cities would trade almost anything for. A real theater scene anchored by a nationally recognized Shakespeare company, and a main street where local shops have actually survived instead of getting replaced by the same 5 chains every other town settles for. You get mountain views without the resort town markup, walkable streets without the flood risk, and a genuine arts and culture scene usually reserved for cities 5 times the size. You are trading ocean access for mountain views, and if a beach day is non-negotiable for you, this is not your town. But I have walked this main street, and it does not feel like a deal. It feels like a secret. No chronic flooding, No overwhelmed infrastructure. No tourist season that empties the town out for half the year. Just a well-run small city that has stayed exactly as livable as it looks. The same main street has been open every month of every year for 200 years, and it has never been underwater. According to Redfin, the median home price in Staunton sits at roughly $310,000, less than half of what Charleston or Hilton Head are charging. Less than half, for a town with no flood insurance mandate, no single road evacuation plan, no water main that fails in a winter storm, and a downtown that has been open every month of the year for 200 years. It is proof that the best deal on this entire coast was never sitting on the water. It was sitting in a valley nobody was watching. That is the whole list. 6 towns where the postcard was hiding a bill. 5 where it was not hiding anything at all. If you are weighing a move to the East Coast this year, do the homework these 11 towns just did for you. Check the flood zone, check the insurance market, and check who is actually paying the town's bills before you fall for the porch swing. A good real estate agent, a flood map, and about 20 minutes of research will tell you everything you need to know before you ever load a moving truck. If you are the kind of person who researches a place before you move instead of after, subscribe. We have got more of these lists coming. And you want to catch the next one before you make an offer on the wrong town. Drop a comment telling me which of these 11 you would actually move to. We will see you in the next one.